Okay, welcome back to Flight Past. And we're in the Huey. And we're going to follow these guys from the 22nd Infantry Regiment. And we're going to head up to a place called Azeville, which is up to the north here. Now, Azeville Battery is near to is to the north, and it was formed as part of the Atlantic War, and it could fire on the Utah beach, which was 9 miles to the end down there. There's a bit more of a battle going on with this thing, so we could just quickly talk about that. So it was built in 1941, and it housed 4 105mm French First World War era artillery pieces. And then they were initially in open casements, but they were then put into open gun pits, but they were then put into casements. Of the 4 casements that were built, I believe there's 2 of them had flak guns. Number 1 had a flak gun on it, and also number 4. And there were other buildings as well involved. Now it should be here. I think I can see it here. Yeah. So on the nose is the Azeville battery. It the Microsoft Flight Simulator has put in some generic buildings, but if we pause here, jump out, you'll be able to see that the buildings have the same shape from above, and you can see these 4 casements. I'm not sure what number they are, whether it goes 1 to 4 as it faces out to sea, or the other way around. And behind it has some bunkers for command and ammunition and things like that. They had enough ammunition probably for several days. 300 rounds is believed per gun. And these 105 millimeter guns could definitely hit the beach and the causeways coming off. So these were a serious issue, and one of the main objectives. Each gun had a crew of 25. Flak guns on the roofs of 1 and 4 had teams of 5, I believe, and most of the soldiers are barracked and billeted in the village itself. Now, this battery didn't have line of sight from here on the beaches or anything like that, so they used fire control by another bunker called the Crosbecq battery, And this is this battery here. We'll come and talk about this one in a minute. Just so but you need to be aware of this battery here. So this one's a larger battery. And between here and the Azeville battery, there is, I think it's been described as an armored, like cable. I presume so it's a wired cable that's been protected from artillery. I'm not sure whether it's buried. It might be lightly buried, but it does mean it's these two batteries are in communication for all of D-Day and the next couple of days. Let me just change this. Let's find the Azeville. There we go. Okay, so we're talking initially around about 170 people are here, and they're from the second company of the 1261st. This battery was commanded by Captain Hugo Trieber, but what happens is that he moves to the Crosbecq battery on the day, and so this one is actually controlled on the from D-Day onwards by Lieutenant Katnik. This is subjected to several bombardments. I'm not sure how much evidence is left. You can usually see this might be evidence there. It got attacked several times before D-Day, but it did get attacked. It's similar to the Varaville battery on the night of the 5th and 6th. It was attacked by the US Air Force. And in the first attack from troops came early in the morning from paratroopers of the 508th. They'd dropped in the wrong area, and but they came upon this battery, and they took the initiative and decided to attack it, but the Germans defenders easily held them off and pushed them back. And it's after that first initial attack, then Captain Trieber then goes off to the Crosbecq battery, leaving Lieutenant Katnik in control. So with fire control from the Crosbecq battery, this battery started attacking the Allied ships that were offshore from Utah, and seriously started hampering the 4th Infantry Division. The batteries fired upon by the US Nevada initially. In response, casement 4, let's say this one, is hit, but there's no, it does little damage. During the day, as the Allied bridgehead comes through, and there's obviously paratroopers are organizing themselves, around about 250, the population of this battery grows from 170 to about 250 as German soldiers retreat away from the bridgehead. And so it's during a day later So this thing is still active on D-Day. It's when the guys that we mentioned, the 22nd Infantry Regiment, arrive. And with tanks, they approach along this road here from the southeast towards the battery. The Germans use their 105mm guns to engage the tanks, and they repel the attack. But continual pressure is put on by the Americans during the night of the 7th and 8th. And to the point where both batteries are being attacked, and at one point the Kriegsmarine commander of Crosbecq orders the Azeville battery to actually engage their fire onto their position in order to dislodge the Americans that are attacking at the time. And that, in doing that, they forces the Americans to retreat, and this battery takes 90 Americans prisoner. At the same time as the Azeville is firing on the Crosbecq, the Azeville is getting attacked, and they're having to use the flak guns on top of casement 1 and 4 to fire upon the newly launched attack. And once again, the energy of the attack is peters out, and the Americans pull back. The Americans have got the advantage. They can take a little bit, take their time, but they do need to get these batteries taken as soon as possible. So on the night of the 8th and 9th of June, the US Nevada out in the channel takes out casement number 1, and has a direct hit on the aperture and kills everybody inside. And on the morning, there's an artillery and tank bombardment, almost like a rolling barrage, that the 1st and 2nd Battalion of the Infantry, 22nd Infantry Regiment, push on from behind. Again, it doesn't isn't successful, but they do manage to get to casement 1, and they blow it up. They bring up demolition charges to blow it up. It's during this attack then that Katnig, Lieutenant Katnig, he calls out to the Crosbecq battery to do the same back to him that he did to them, and fire on his own position. The next tactic the Americans use as they approach, they use flamethrowers, and the flamethrowers they used ignited the munitions room, and took out the occupiers. And at this point, the Lieutenant Katnig is seriously injured. He contacts the Crosbecq command post and asked for permission to surrender. And so it's at 14:30 on the 9th of June that this bunker eventually surrenders. Of the 253 Germans in the battery, 78 are killed, and the rest are captured. And then a small group managed to escape in this direction to the north. Right, so let's jump back in the heli. You got to remember as well, these batteries are all surrounded by barbed wire minefields as well. Right, so let's head over to the Crosbecq battery. Sometimes it's known as the Marcouf battery because of the village nearby. And another one is it was built by the Tot organization. And this one had some basically naval cannons. They're 210mm cannon. So these things are massive, and they can hit. It's believed they can hit things almost 20 miles away. Yeah, pretty big range. So this thing can cover the beaches all the way to Pont de Hoc. So this is a big boy. Okay, so let's just have a little fly around. So this is the battery here. So this this again was built in 1941, using Russian and Polish prisoners of war, and augmented by French workers. They contained, as I said, 210mm guns. Let's find the scroll for this. It consisted of 3 210mm guns, but only 2 of them were protected. You can see the shape of some of the bunkers casements here, and there's an open gun position here. So this had a command post, shelters for personnel, ammunition, and several defensive machine gun emplacements. It had a narrow trail that was difficult to attack from. To the it's in a reasonably high position. So this was the did have the line of sight to the ships, but it also, as you can see, it was difficult to approach from the east. It also was difficult to approach from the west. So there was open fields on both sides. They were relatively steep, and they were also waterlogged. And this position was operational from about 1942. So this is actually a Kriegsmarine station. It was commanded by a Navy Lieutenant Walter Olmsen, whom we just mentioned, was the guy who asked for the Azeville battery to fire upon his position. And this had 287 men manning this this battery. Again, this gets peppered prior to D-Day, and again gets hit at 5 a.m. On D-Day. It actually is the first German position to recognize the fleet out in the English Channel. At 5 a.m., he spots it on his rangefinder, and he tells the Kriegsmarine headquarters at Cherbourg, which is to the north in this direction, and this then sets off a general German alarm throughout all the installations on the Atlantic coast. So they know at 5 o'clock what's going to happen. At 5:52 a.m., this battery is given orders to open fire on the ships, and then they were at the time about 11 miles, 17 kilometers out that way. In response, 5:55 a.m., the cruisers USS Tuscaloosa and USS Quincy, along with the USS Nevada, the battleship, opens fire on this position. And this battery sinks the USS Corey at 6:30 in the morning. 8 a.m., the Nevada hits the foremost casement gun. And which presumably is this one. And it is then joined as well by the USS Texas and the USS Arkansas. Now, they were originally assigned at that time to covering fire at Omaha. So to pull these ships off Omaha and knowing how Omaha was going, to target this battery shows the how much they felt that this place was a threat. And these guys helped to silence this battery by 9 a.m. The second casement is taken out by the Nevada, killing the whole crew. And the remaining gun wasn't big enough to reach the ships out to sea. So this gun instead at 11 a.m. starts firing on the beach, Utah beach, and on the sector ahead of Winterstander's Nest 5, which we'll have a look at when we go along to look at Utah later in the series. So this is okay. It can no longer hit the ships far out, but it is still causing issues to the material build-up and reinforcements that are coming out onto Utah Beach at 11 o'clock. So our friends, the 1st Battalion of the 22nd Infantry Regiment, begin to move towards this battery on the 7th of June at 7 a.m. and they approach from this village here. So they're going to move up and try to approach the battery from this direction. So they managed to take Sainte-Mère-Église, but they can't penetrate further because the 75mm flak guns are now lying flat and targeting down these roads here. You can probably see some of this damage. These patches look like old bomb craters. So with the support of the 105mm guns from the Azeville battery, and this flak guns, the Americans pull back. And the commander managed to do a counterattack on the flanks of these guys. And it's at this stage, on the 7th of June, that a guy called Preston Neeland is killed. And if you can remember the film Saving Private Ryan, well, Ryan was Preston Neeland's brother. So he was one of those Neeland brothers where I believe 3 of them were killed, but in very close proximity time-wise. And so the mission was for the Rangers to go and get this this guy and pull him out. Just after this time, the one of the 210mm guns is put back into action and starts to re-engage the fleet. But it's immediately fired back upon and is taken out once more. And also by the afternoon, the Americans are now starting to bring up field artillery to start firing into the battery. And this artillery just continued to hit the battery all through the night of the 7th to basically hamper their efforts at firing on the fleet and the beach. The 1st Battalion, 22nd Infantry, put in another attack at 10 a.m. on the 8th. They managed to retake this village. And at 1:30, the Navy lays down an artillery barrage, one of these rolling artillery barrages. You could probably see some of the scarring that may have done to the ground here. And this enables the 1st Battalion of the 22nd Infantry Regiment to get to the battery perimeter. And by this time, the Germans have fallen back on their shelters, and the 210mm guns are destroyed. And at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the Americans start blowing up shelters. And at this point, Walter Olmsson again orders the Azeville battery to fire on his position, and forces the Americans once more to fall back. And they're forced back by counterattack all the way back to this village back here, which is called Douve. And that, as you can remember, is when the 90-odd prisoners of war are taken. So it's not until the 11th of June. So this battery has gone quiet, so it's no longer a priority anymore. But the battery itself has run out of ammunition, and it's also lacking in medical equipment for the wounded. And on the afternoon of the 11th, he gets a phone call from the admiral, basically in Cherbourg, Walter Hennecke, and he's instructed that he is to escape with as many men as possible. He leaves 21 German soldiers who are wounded, and he leaves the at the time I think it was 120 American prisoners behind. He breaks out through the American encirclement and heads north up this way to the German lines at Umeville, which is this basically is marked by this road here. This is Umeville here, and that is how the Crosbecq battery is finished. Right, let's take a quick break here, and when I come back, we'll look at Richard Winter's D-Day.